friends, Miss Amie here with West Virginia University Extension Service Family Nutrition Program. Today we're going to learn all about potatoes. We're going to see how potatoes fuel our bodies, how they grow in the garden, and we're going to learn how to plant potatoes. We're also going to do a Greasy grid evaluation and have a read-aloud story, Two Old Potatoes and Me, written by John Coy. We'll visit Molly in the kitchen for a great recipe, and we'll also get a little exercise. Come along. So, what is a potato? I happen to have one here. Can you identify the part of the plant that it is? Did you say roots? That's right. The potato is actually considered the root of the plant and that we eat. Potatoes are the #1 vegetable consumed in the United States, and it's probably because potatoes can be cooked so many different ways. Can you think of a few? Mashed potatoes, baked potatoes, French fries, tater tots, chips, roasted potatoes. There's a lot of ways to cook a potato. Potatoes naturally are high in fiber, and they're a good source of vitamin C. They also have 0 fat. However, as we cook a potato, it loses nutritional value. So, as we take a potato and go from the whole product down maybe to, let's say, French fries, we've lost a lot of the nutritional value, and we added things like oils and stuff that makes the potato have fat then. Let's check out the Greasy grid evaluation. So, right now what we're going to do is called a Greasy grid evaluation. The Greasy grid paper can be found on the Junior Master Gardener's website, and it's a paper that has a lot of little boxes on it. And the bottom of my bag, there are potato chips. We are going to work on smashing the potato chips and rubbing them onto the grid and see how many greasy spots we come up with. You want to smash your chips. Wow, it was a lot of fun to smash the chips. However, when we look at our Greasy grid, we can see a lot of grease. In total, I counted 144 squares that had grease in them. As we cook potatoes, they lose nutritional value, and especially when we add things like oils and fats and butter. You need to try to watch out for the amount of fats that you put into your body. Our bodies do need fats. They help protect our organs and keep us warm in the wintertime, but too many fats mean too many calories. Let's take a look at a comparison of 3 types of potatoes.
So, we have 3 nutrition facts panels to compare here. We have baked potatoes, French fries, and chips. When you look at your nutrition facts panel, it will always tell you the serving size at the top. For each one of these products, the serving size is 100 grams. The next section of the nutrition facts panel will tell us how many calories. Remember last week we looked at how to figure out how many calories you should be eating every day. The baked potatoes have 93 calories. French fries have 319 calories, and chips have 547 calories. As we go down the nutrition facts panel, it will break out different nutrients. We have our total fats, cholesterol, and sodium. Sodium and potassium have opposite effects on our blood pressure. Potassium lowers your blood pressure while sodium raises it. So we want to avoid having too much sodium to prevent ourselves from having high blood pressure. The baked potatoes have 10 milligrams or 1% of your daily need. French fries have 194 milligrams, which is 8% of the sodium you should intake. And the chips have 525 milligrams, which is 22% of the sodium that you should have during the day. That's a lot.
In that comparison, you can see the more processed the potato is, the worse it is for you. It's important when we eat potatoes, we want to leave the skin on, as that's where all the vitamins are. Hi friends, Miss Amie here. We're here at my garden. Let's go inside and look at the potatoes that I have growing.
So friends, these are my potatoes growing over here. And my potatoes will be harvested in a few weeks. So they're actually in the stage of dying back and creating the potatoes underground. Can you see the potatoes growing under the ground? It's the root of the plant. The stems come up, move nutrients and water throughout. The leaves help make food through the process of photosynthesis. They do flower, but they actually don't fruit. Let me show you over here an example of companion planting. You can see that in with my potatoes there are onions growing. It's an example of companion planting. Onions help naturally repel bugs. So friends, this is my compost system. I let it slowly break down and eventually it turns into compost. This side is this year's cooking compost. And you can see all of the green things coming out of the compost are actually potatoes that are growing. We had taken some old potatoes and thrown them in the compost, and now they are growing and sprouting and flowering inside of my compost.
Today's story is Two Old Potatoes and Me. It's written by John Coy and illustrated by Carolyn Fisher. Come join me for story time.
Two Old Potatoes and Me by John Coy, pictures by Carolyn Fisher. Last spring at my dad's house, I found two old potatoes in the back of the cupboard. They were so old, sprouts were growing from their eyes. Gross! I tossed them in the trash. Wait, Dad said. I think we can grow new potatoes with those. I'll call your grandpa. He'll know. After talking with Grandpa, Dad and I took the potatoes to the sunniest spot in the garden. We dug, we picked out rocks, we raked the soil smooth. Dad carefully cut the potatoes into 9 pieces with his jackknife. I made sure each piece had at least one yellow sprout. Dad dug 9 small holes. I put a piece of potato with the eyes facing up in each hole. Then I covered them with dirt to make little hill. Dad got the hose, and I watered gently. In May, green plants poked up like caterpillars unfolding. We got down on our knees and we picked weeds. We shoveled compost onto each hill. Won't that smother the plants? No, they'll grow through it. Are we really going to get new potatoes from old potatoes? I think so, said Dad. In June, the plants grew bigger. Violet flowers blossomed and we added more compost. When we watered, I accidentally sprayed my dad with the hose. He laughed and sprayed me back. In July, when the plants were as tall as my waist, we picked potato beetles off the leaves. I dropped them into a pail of soapy water. Gross. We have to do this, Dad said. Otherwise, the bugs will eat the leaves and the potatoes won't grow. In August, some of the plants turned brown and withered. Are they dead? No, said Dad. The potatoes are growing underground. Are you sure? I hope so. That's what your grandpa said. We weeded, we watered, we waited. Now on a cool September day, Dad and I sit on the bench in front of the garden. How's your bedroom at your mom's house coming? Dad asks. Good. Mom and I painted it periwinkle. Periwinkle? I like that color. I bet it looks good. You can see it Friday when you pick me up. Okay, Dad said. It'll be Periwinkle Friday. We get up and walk to the garden. What's your favorite way to eat potatoes? Dad asks. Mashed with lots of butter and a sprinkle of nutmeg for good luck. That's my favorite too. Let's see what's under these hills. Dad gets the garden fork from the shed and I carry the big bucket. Dad digs the first hill. Nothing but dirt. He digs again. More dirt. After all that work, I say, Dad hands me the fork. You try. I dig deep, and I lift the fork and see 7 golden shapes. Potatoes! I shout. Look at all those spuds, Dad says. I bend down and pick up a potato, rub the dirt off its skin, and set it in the bucket. 1 potato, 2 potato, 3 potato, 4, 5 potatoes, 6 potatoes, 7 potato more. Each hill has lots of potatoes. Some are small and some are big, and some have funny faces. 51 potato, 52 potato, 53 potato, 54. 55 potato, 56 potato, 57 potato, more. I count 67 and our bucket is overflowing. All of this from 2 old potatoes? Yes, Dad rubs my head. Ready for some mashers with lots of butter and a sprinkle of nutmeg for good luck? Yeah, I'm hungry.
Hi guys, Miss Tracy here from the Randolph County Extension Office with WVU and the Family Nutrition Program. I wanted to share some ideas with you today about using recycled containers for your gardening and how to grow potatoes in a bag. But one of my favorite things to do is to find random objects to grow our plants in. With money being tight and not wanting to go into the stores as much, it's kind of an opportunity to get creative. So this one, as you can see, I am growing my bell pepper in a gallon milk jug or water jug that I had on hand. Really anything that is going to hold soil that is made of a sturdy plastic or other material. The biggest thing when you're using recycled items like these is that you need to puncture holes in the bottom for drainage. Otherwise, the water is going to fill up the container if it rains. So make sure that you take some scissors or something and you just want to poke or try to poke a few holes in the bottom, or I think maybe scissors might be better here. Just poke a few holes, just enough so that if you got a really heavy rain, the water will run out, but not lose too much soil. So you'll just fill them up and plant your seeds just like you normally would in a store-bought pot. Also great for starting seeds are egg cartons. They're small. They even have their own little compartments so that when the roots form in there, you can pull them out easily. Just be really gentle. I've got some seeds started here that aren't currently growing very well, but I have some here. To-go containers are really great for microgreens. If you're participating in the Grow This challenge, you receive microgreens, and to-go containers are really great. They actually have their own little greenhouse built in, so you can put your lids on top, let the heat stay in and the moisture stay in, and then once they germinate, you always want to make sure to take the lids off of your plants once they have started to sprout and germinate. Over here I have an old salad container, which is really great. I've got wildflowers sprouting in here right now. Once again, I've got my built-in greenhouse, and I even have some little sprouts in there, so I haven't killed them yet, so that's exciting. We've got random buckets. One of my favorite recycled hacks are the grocery bags that you use to go grocery shopping in that you usually forget in your car anyway. So this is a great way to use them. If you notice, I didn't go and buy any expensive trellising or anything like that. I went out into the woods, or you can go on a hike, find a nice sturdy stick, and then use whatever yarn or string you have around the house. I did the same with our sugar snap peas here. I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty proud of these guys. We planted them about 35 days ago. They're growing like crazy. Maybe a taller stick would have been better, but I'm excited to see when they get flowers, and hopefully we'll get some sugar snap peas. Really anything is game. Just make sure you do those drainage holes But one thing that you may not think you can grow if you have a small growing space is potatoes. Typically potatoes use a lot of acreage and go deep into the ground. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to grow potatoes on my tiny little porch here, since this property isn't mine. So we're going to grow them here on our porch. So I'm just going to use the bag that the soil came in. You can also use feed sacks or any kind of bag that is maybe about like a 50-pound bag or so. So it's nice and big. Once again, you're going to cut drainage holes in the bottom. I went ahead and already cut a couple, but just a few, just so that you don't get piles of like kind of like a overflowing of water. And then you're going to pull down the sides of your bag, and you're going to fold it way down in the beginning. You're going to fold until you have about a foot in length. So you're going to fold it all the way down, and then we're going to make some room on my table here. And we're going to add soil about halfway up in our bag. So we're going to fill it. And who are we kidding? These are the best garden tools you'll ever have. Hands. So we're going to fill it up. And then if you're lazy, dump it in. Okay, so we're going to fill it up. Let's see how that did there. Maybe a little bit more. Okay. So we're going to fill it up to about this high in the bag. Then we're going to take our potatoes that have little eyes. So if you can see here, this potato is starting to sprout just a little bit. These little nodulars are called the eye of the potato. So we always want the eye facing up in our bags. So we're going to bury them in our bag. I just want to show them how deep I'm burying them. So we're going to bury them in our bag with the eye facing up, about halfway down into the soil. And I am going to plant a couple extra just in case some don't grow. Can always deal with that later. Okay, so we're gonna put them down about halfway, so about 3 inches under the soil, and that's it. So the trick to planting in a bag or any type of smaller container like this is, as the potatoes start to grow, maybe about 3 or 4 inches, you'll get green sprouts starting to unfold. What you'll do is you're actually going to cover them up with soil. You're not smothering them. They'll actually grow through it. So you'll continue to add soil. And as you add the soil and your potatoes grow, you're going to make the bag taller. And then once they start to grow another 3 or 4 inches, you're going to add more soil, and you're going to keep growing. And at this time, you're going to start seeing that your bag is going to be nice and full with lots of roots. The potatoes will keep growing, and you're just going to keep doing it and keep doing it until you get to about the top. Now you're going to have a nice big full bag of soil. Those green potato plants are then going to get little flowers, and from there they'll start to die. And when they start to die, that means instead of sending the nutrients to the leaves and shoots above ground, it's actually pulling those nutrients back down into the potatoes so that the smaller potatoes can obtain nutrients to grow larger. Once your potatoes are brown on top, you'll actually get to dump out the bag, and inside should be your potatoes.
This week's Garden Journal is Garden Journal Week 9. In 2 Old Potatoes and Me, the family grew a garden. They planted old, hairy potatoes and grew new potato plants and a bunch of new potatoes. Put the steps for planting potatoes in order by writing the numbers 1 through 5 in the circles below. In the box, draw a picture of what you think the potato plant will look like when it's fully grown. Are you growing a garden? Use the lines here to tell what's happening in your garden this week. This week's tasting is a potato. Make sure that you use all 5 of your senses when you try your potato.
This week's recipe is cheesy broccoli and ranch smashed potatoes. Let's go check out Molly in the kitchen.
Hi, I'm Molly with West Virginia University Extension Service Family Nutrition Program, and this week we're going to make cheesy broccoli and ranch smashed potatoes. For this recipe, you need 3 medium-sized potatoes, 1.5 cups of frozen broccoli, 3/4 of a cup of reduced fat shredded cheddar cheese, 6 tablespoons of reduced fat ranch salad dressing, 3/4 of a cup of low fat or skim milk, salt and pepper to taste, and I have some extra cheese to put on as a topping. Before we start cooking, you want to wash your hands and clean your cooking area. I've already done that, so I'm ready to get started. I picked potatoes that had a nice soft skin because a lot of the vitamins and minerals and fiber are in this skin, so I don't want to peel it off. I've got my 3 potatoes in my dish, and I'm going to add my frozen broccoli right on top. Then I've got a lid for my microwave safe dish so that when I put this in the microwave, it's going to steam and cook everything. So this goes in the microwave for 12 minutes on high. I just took my potatoes and broccoli out of the microwave. I made sure I had hot pads to take it out of the microwave, and I've got a hot pad to remove the lid, and there's going to be some steam that comes up from our broccoli and potatoes. I'm gonna stick a fork in my potatoes and make sure they're nice and tender. So I think I'm ready to go. And what we're gonna do is take a potato masher and mash up our potatoes and broccoli all together. This is the fun part. Clean that off and get in there. Okay, once everything is all mashed up, we're going to add our 3/4 of a cup of low-fat shredded cheddar cheese. Might need a little help getting that out. And those hot potatoes and broccoli are going to melt that cheese and just make it delicious. Mix that all in there. Then we're going to add our reduced fat ranch, 6 tablespoons. And our 3/4 of a cup of low fat or skim milk. And I'm going to mix this all up, make sure the cheese is all melted and that our potatoes and our broccoli all get mixed together. And basically this is just making a sauce for our potatoes. I'm going to add a pinch of fresh ground black pepper and a pinch of salt. And I'm going to save my cheese for my own personal topping. Keep mixing this around. And get a little scoop with potatoes and broccoli and cheese. Sprinkle a little more cheese on top and give it a try. That is delicious. Just like mashed potatoes, but with the added broccoli and the ranch dressing, just really brings it up a notch. Thank you so much for cooking with us this week, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.
Hi friends, Miss Amy here. For today's physical activity, we are going to do the plant part scavenger hunt. The plant part scavenger hunt can be found on the West Virginia Grow This Garden Challenge Facebook page. You can print it off or you could use it on your device. This scavenger hunt can be used at the grocery store, at the farmer's market, or even in your own home garden. Let's take a look at each section.
So here's the plant part scavenger hunt. The first section is the root section. Roots grow under the ground and anchor the plant. Examples include carrots, radishes, and beets. Next is the stem section. Stems help move nutrients and water throughout the plant. They're normally very tall. Some examples would be asparagus, celery, Swiss chard. Next is the fruit section. Remember, there's no vegetable part of the plant, but there's fruit. Anything that flowers and turns into a fruit to protect the seeds is considered fruit. Some examples are pumpkins, bell peppers, peaches. Next is the leaf section. Leaves, as you know, create food for the plant. Make sure you keep your eye out for different colored leaves. Some examples would be Swiss chard, because we eat the stem and the leaf, cabbages, or salad mix like lettuce. Next is the seed section. Corn and peas are examples of seeds that we eat. Finally, the flower section. Anything that's going to turn into a flower, like broccoli or cauliflower, goes into this section. Let's explore around the farmer's market and see what we can find. As we look around, we see different types of squash and zucchini here. There's yellow squash, green zucchini, and patty pan squash. They're all fruits. Next, we have bagged lettuce. Lettuce, of course, is a leaf. Next on the table, we have different types of onions, which are the roots of the plant. And finally, on the end of the table, we have Swiss chard. We eat the leaves and the stems.
I hope you've learned a lot about potatoes today. Until next time, happy growing.
Hey Energy Express friends, did you have a fun day? I know I did. Well, we'll see you again soon for more fun and more activities. Have a good one. Bye-bye.